One of the most fun and rewarding things you can do in this miniature wargaming hobby is getting ready to play a game. It's actually one of my favorite things to do. In various games that you've seen me play in the past, one of the things that I've taken the most pleasure in is collecting up all the terrain I need, all the models I need, and even designing and building the gaming aids that I'll use when I'm actually playing it with my friends. So for Last Days Zombie Apocalypse, you do need to have a few things ready to play. Of course, the first thing you're going to need is this book, the actual game itself. If you don't have that, you might have a hard time playing the game. Then when it comes to playing on a surface, you're gonna want a 3x3 gaming area. It doesn't have to be 3x3, and the recommendation I make in the book, of course, is just to adjust your deployment zones if you want to play on a bigger surface. If you guys remember me playing Frostgrave, also by Osprey Games for the first time, Owen and I played through it on a 4x4 table. And instead of having 3-inch deployment zones, we just adjusted them to be 9 inches, and it was the exact same game. You basically have an invisible border edge, or just make where you're placing your models initially a bit larger, and you can play on any size gaming surface you want. 3x3 is a bit more intimate. It pushes the game into the middle of the table, and it means that you can't just hide from each other shooting guns while the zombies run around you, and you can just kind of ignore them. You're going to need some appropriate terrain. It's really up to you what that means. Setting the zombie apocalypse in your hometown can be really fun, and there's tons and tons of great resources for getting terrain. If you're in North America, Black Site Studios has a great series of pre-colored terrain. Death Ray Designs has some wonderful terrain features that are actually designed for this game too, including some of the great refuges that you'll be able to park your guys into and defend during the course of a game. And of course, you have the various different scatter bits and wonderful sort of I guess, street items from Armor Cast. Which could include everything from wrecked cars through to Jersey barriers and trash cans, all little things that you might want to use. In the UK and Europe, you have TT Combat, who have a great range of MDF buildings, as well as also great scatter terrain. So they kind of combine the best of the MDF companies and resin sort of casting companies into one thing. Die-cast cars are also super handy when you're doing a modern apocalypse game, and I highly recommend that you keep a random old beat-up miniature in your pocket for when you're going to toy stores, the local pharmacy, or anywhere they might have model cars. In UK, the pound shop, or in North America, the dollar store, can very often have appropriately scaled die-cast miniatures that you can paint up and use in your games. All of the school buses, cop cars, bits and pieces that you see in the rulebook are just dollar store finds that I've had over the years that I've gone and covered up the windows typically with a bit of masking putty. So I use the stuff you put posters on a wall with and cover the windows up. I'll dull coat it with some Tesser's dull coat, and what that'll do is allow them to take paint. So any kind of gloss finish they have goes away, and then you can hit them with washes, dry brush them, whatever you want to do to make them look appropriately grimy and ready for the zombie apocalypse. It's a great fast way to get stuff on your table, and means you have a bit more scenery that makes the setting fit and feel that modern zombie apocalypse sort of style. And of course, there's also Foregrounds if you're looking for pre-colored terrain, who are doing a great line of sort of modern buildings and stuff as well. Or you can go with Plastcraft, who does some pre-printed, it's extruded foamed PVC is technically what this stuff is called, terrain that's already colored, and also can give you a great sort of quick table full of zombie apocalypse terrain. When it comes to setting up the rest of it, trees, stuff like that, you can go to your usual sources, things like Woodland Scenics for, model railroad sort of supplies and stuff for making those. Or, of course, you can go down to your local craft store, like Michael's or Hobby Lobby, and grab all those great trees that they have there for their, little I guess vignettes. You have the Halloween ones, the Christmas ones, whatever sort of stuff that they're currently, whatever season it is. There's usually a table full of stuff that you can use for the game. In fact, some of the street lamps that you see in the book and in the gameplay videos are going to be coming up all month long, are actually taken from a Christmas, I think it's a Christmas town scene that I got at Michael's craft store, and I just painted them and did them up to basically look like sort of urban lampposts. You're going to need, of course, tape measure in inches or measuring gauge in inches, and some 6-sided dice. Those are the basic sort of core tools that you'll use when you're playing the game. And some handy tokens. You can either make your own, or there is a sheet of printable 1-inch punch tokens that you can get in the file section of the Last Days Zombie Apocalypse Facebook group. And then last but not least, and this is the most fun part in my opinion, you can collect some appropriate miniatures. Now, the whole point of Last Days Zombie Apocalypse is you get the miniatures you like, and you should let them drive the story of your group. So instead of worrying what's best in the game, go out, find some modern miniatures, or if you're going to set the game in a different setting, because you could easily just play Last Days games in a medieval setting by reskinning everything and just renaming all the weapons. just find models you like. You'll need about 20 zombies, and then whatever miniatures you like for you and your opponent's groups. I highly recommend Hassle-Free Miniatures, Rapham, Reaper's Chronoscope line. There are just piles and piles of metal miniatures, perfect for the zombie apocalypse and setting it in modern day out there right now. Studio Miniatures makes some fantastic zombies and survivors too. These are all in various different countries and places on Earth, so just start scrounging. And then Crooked Dice actually as well makes some great stuff with a kind of like 70s feel, so if you want to go right back to the Romero zombies, you can use those. And then, of course, there's all the great board games that have come out in the last little while, too, where you can get zombies and zombie survivors as well. So, Cool Me or Not Zombicide box by itself, you could probably just play Last Days with. Just pan it up and be ready to rock and roll. And that's it. So now you've collected up your stuff, and you are ready to play a game. Let's talk in the next video, which will be coming out. You can click, if you're seeing this in the future, you just click below on the playlist, about building your group.